Hello everyone, this is Gary Marr from Gwinnett Community College. In this screen capture, I wanted to review how to upload and download files to your student drives at GCC using a product called Filezilla. Filezilla takes advantage of the file transfer protocol as part of the TCP/IP stack to upload files to the student server and to download files to the student server. Now, when I'm talking about student servers, specifically I'm talking about the H drive, which you own, exclusively own, and have read and write privileges to, and also the S drive, which you share with the rest of the class, of which I have write and you have read privileges. Now, the H drive is where you're going to place your assignments, specifically in a folder in the H drive called public.www. You don't have to create this folder, it should be there already. The S drive is important because I'm going to place files inside the courses, CIS 166AA, GMAR folder path that would reflect things that I go over in class, different files that we might use as part of class, some applications. The files that you place in your USB drive are accessible from that particular drive. I'm going to review the H drive today. I'm going to let you learn how to use the S drive on your own. If you need more additional information besides this, you can always catch me in class, send me an email, and also in the Pages section of Canvas, there'll be a resources page. On the bottom of the resources page will be the link to download Filezilla, and there'll also be 2 PDFs that talk about how to configure Filezilla and also how to use it, which is much of what I'm going to show you today. So what I've done is I've started up Filezilla. Filezilla is organized like most FTP programs to have a left side that's your local PC and a right side that's a server. Now to connect to the server, you have to build the connection parameters. So up here on the ribbon for Filezilla, I'm going to click the far left or Site Manager. And I've already selected or built one connection string for the H drive and one for the S drive. Now, the parameters are important here. You want to use an FTP protocol. This is the name of the GCC server you're connecting to. You want to make sure you use require implicit FTP over TLS. Whether you ask for password or use normal, it does have the ability to store your password. I typically use ask for password for security reasons, and then finally it's going to want your user ID. That's essentially the parameters you need to connect to the FTP server, okay, which in fact will talk to the H, in this case the H drive. Additional stuff that you want to supply in the settings, if you go to advanced, you want to basically identify the default remote directory. This will save you a lot of clicking in the long run and save you a lot of time. For this you want to put in /home/ and then your MEID, okay? Now, once you've done that, when this connects, it'll connect to your H drive, okay? And this is one way for you to either upload files or download files from the H drive. Let me hit connect. When I hit connect, it's going to ask me for my password. I guess it would help if I key the password incorrectly. Did I work? Oh, it did work. I'm sorry, that did go through. Okay, I guess I'll ignore the error message. Now, my H drive has a lot of stuff on it, a lot more than yours probably has. What we're looking for in the H drive is the public.www folder. And this window up top here is going to give you the folder structure of the disk, just like Windows Explorer would work. So if I click on the CIS 166AA, it's going to give me a series of folders and files that belong to that particular folder directory. What I'm going to do for this class is I've created a sample one. Now I want you to call yours CIS 166AA, but mine is going to be called CIS 166AA _ sample. Just because I have a lot of files, are just going to confuse the display and make it hard to follow along. So what I'm going to do now is double click on that, and it's empty. Now what I want you to do is build 10 folders to reflect each assignment. To do that with Filezilla, I simply right click on that panel, I click on Create Directory, and now I just have to give it a name, Assign 1. When I click on this, it'll create a new folder for Assign 1, so therefore I want all of the files that I'm going to submit for this assignment in Assign 1. Okay? So what I'll do next is come over here in my host system. I'm just going to pick one of these HTML files and put that as my assignment. So I'm going to open the assignment folder, and then I'm going to drag from left to right test 1 from my local computer over here to the server, the H drive, public.www, CIS 166AA sample, assignment 1. Okay, that's where my file is going to exist. Now, to download files, and this is more important on the S drive than is on the H drive, I simply reverse the process when I drag. If I wanted to put this particular file in the Ajax folder, I would simply go to the Ajax folder on my local computer, and from the server, drag it right to left. This file now would exist in that folder. Let's see, there it is right there. So right to left, left to right, depends if you want to upload or download files. We want to work exclusively from public.www, and what we want to do is from there build a CIS-166AA. Mine is called sample. I want you guys to build all the assignment folders on your own. If you have trouble with this, I can help you, but this is pretty much standard work for what you would do as a web developer. Okay? Now the next step would be to how to access these files over the internet. Once I've placed my files in the assignment folder, I can now access these files over the internet. The way to do that is to first type in the URL for the student server, which would be web.gccaz.edu/tilde, which is the leftmost row key on your keyboard. It's a sideways S. My MEID, and that essentially accounts for what would be a direct pointer to the public.www. Now remember, in public.www, I had another folder called CIS-166AA-sample, assign 1, and then finally I had an HTML program I slid over in there called test.html. Once all that information is supplied and you hit enter, what it's going to do now, it's going to use the internet to go locate the domain name web.gccaz, go to the folder directory owned by my MEID, and then we can look to the file that I specified. If you do this, and when you do this, I will be able to grade your files remotely. I actually have another HTML file that I have that points to your student Z file. Now in your student Z file, and we'll cover this in class also, is going to be a series of anchor links to assignment 1 through 10. And that anchor link that you're going to supply is essentially just this address right here. So when I click on your assignment 1, it'll take me right to your web page. Now from here, I can either look and see what the problems are, or I can look at page source to see how you put it together. Now that is in a nutshell why we need to have the files located on the H drive public.www, how to do it, how we're going to use Filezilla, and if you have any questions, this becomes old hat after a while, but it becomes a little complicated at first. FTP and programs like Filezilla are very important as a web developer, so you want to get comfortable with them, and that's one of the reasons we're going to spend some time on it in this class. If you have any questions, please let me know.